Hey there, welcome. It's Aussie Air here from whensmytime.com. Thanks very much indeed for joining me. Look, this is a slightly different video from those that I've shot before for you. And if you listen to this as a podcast, it'll be a different podcast from those that I've recorded for you before. You'll notice first up that there's a difference in sound quality. That's because I'm shooting, as I say, I'm shooting a video. I'm wearing a lapel mic rather than you hearing the mic, my sort of studio mic that goes straight into my computer at home. Hope the sound quality doesn't affect you too much. And if you're watching on video, you'll see it's different because of where I am. Now, I'm at a very special place for Carol and me. And that is our allotment. Now, if you're not in the UK, you might not be familiar with the term an allotment. It's essentially a small plot of land that you can rent very cheaply, and on it you can grow anything you like: fruit, veg, flowers, whatever, as long as, of course, it's legal. Why am I here though today? Well, it's two reasons, and both of them link directly to When's My Time. Now, we have a little Jack Russell Terrier. Now, you're probably thinking, well, why have you got a Jack Russell? You know, why bring that up? What's Jack Russell Terrier got to do with it? Well, it's quite simply this: we adopted Jack, who's our not very imaginatively named Jack Russell Terrier, back in 2010. No, I'll tell a lie. Back in 2007. So we've had him almost 9 years. He'd had a very rough time before that, before he came to us. We got him from a rescue centre. And so his behaviour, I mean, he's a lovely dog. I mean, he really is a lovely dog, and he's super to be around. But some days he decides that this is a day for barking. I'm going to get all my barking done in one day. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to bark at my biscuit, I'm going to bark at my water bowl, I'm going to bark at this. And doesn't matter what we do to try and distract him, he'll just bark. Not constantly, but every now and then he'll bark. Now, my intention today was to record quite a few videos. I'll probably just do this one. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to get them done without Jack wanting attention and barking. So I figured, well, I'll go up the allotment to do that. The other thing is that I can actually be here. Because of the ethos of When's My Time, I can be here on I think it's Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. And I think it's the 24th of May, and it's around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I can be here because of the way I choose to live my life now. Now, you're probably thinking, well, it's okay for you. It's, you know, I couldn't possibly afford that. This is nothing to do with money. Of course, we all need money, and we'll talk about that probably later today, if not another time. Of course, we all need money. We need an income. We don't necessarily need a job, and there's a big difference. So while we're talking about that and talking about jobs, and I tell you, it's 5-6 years since I had a job. I work like crazy, but a job, no. But have you ever felt to yourself, look, there has to be more than this. I'm not designed. I wasn't put here. My purpose in life is not to just work 5 days of the week for someone else, only to ask permission to have the next 2 days off, and then spend the second of those 2 days thinking about, tomorrow I go back to have to work 5 days again just to ask for permission for 2 days off. Have you felt that? Well, lots of people have, and I was one of them, I can tell you. And look, there could be something that's putting you off, and it could be fear of failure. Now, if you've ever felt that, if you've ever felt, it's okay for him, he can get in front of a video, he can do this, he can do that, I could never possibly do that because I fear that I'd simply fail at it. Well, look, you will fail. I fail constantly. I mean, it's everybody feels that fear of failure. But what's so important, what I need to get across to you, and what I hope this visit to the allotment is going to show you, is that failure is not the end. Failure is not a permanent thing. look, it could be. It's your decision whether failure is a permanent thing. You could fail once and that's the end of it. Or you could fail lots of times on your way to success, and then fail again on your way to another success, and again and again. That's just the way it is. There are no guarantees in this, much like there are no guarantees here. But fear of failure you cannot allow it to stop you taking the first step. I mean, when we took over this plot of land, which was in, I think, the late autumn, late fall of 2010, we came to a bare field. I mean, really, it was a bare field that hadn't been maintained. It was rank. The ground here is solid clay. Now, if you're not a gardener, that probably doesn't mean much, but what it means is essentially it spends half the year underwater because it doesn't drain, and the other half of the year as hard as concrete because it's baked dry. So we had a lot of work to do. Now, our first crops, some of them worked, but rather more of them failed. I mean, we spent a fortune on I remember in our first year on planting a row of raspberry canes. We were looking forward to all these wonderful raspberries. They drowned. I'm not kidding you, they drowned, they died. Now, it could have been that I'd said at that time, well, you know, we spent all this money on this and it hasn't worked, let's forget it. But we didn't. We got back up, and the next season we tried again, and we tried again, not necessarily with raspberries, but for instance, we planted strawberries in that second year, and we probably spent about 30 quid on, what's that, $45, something like that? Not even that. And since then, we've had probably about £200-300 in weight of strawberries from them. Now, that's because we didn't fall at that first hurdle and decide that was it. We got back up and went again. And here's the thing, you have in business to have a vision of what it is you're wanting to create. That vision will sustain you in those long, dark hours of the soul when you wake up early, you know, in the early hours of the morning and think, oh gosh, that hasn't worked. Oh crikey, what am I going to do? I should never have left my job. Oh dear, what am I going to do now? Though that vision is going to sustain you. Now, let me tell you, here in the UK, when it comes to October time, November time, the nights draw in, we have shortened days, it gets cold, it gets wet, and it gets horrible. And really, any sensible person would probably want to be indoors. And yeah, you can make that choice. Or you can be like Carol and me, and you can come up here and say, right, okay, well, we better get our onions in and our garlic in so that next summer we can lift them and we can have a crop that will sustain us throughout the rest of the year. See, it's that planning forward, it's that knowing that there is, it's having that vision of what you want in the future, of those riches in the future. And as I say, it's not, and when I talk about riches, I don't mean monetary riches, I mean enrichment of the soul, if that makes sense. And that's what this brings to Carol and me. We can come up here anytime we want, particularly me. I mean, Carol helps out at the local, I mean, she works at the local school 4 days a week. I say helps out, I mean, she's instrumental in the education of a lot of kids at the local school, and she loves it. But I'm free to come up here at any time, because let's face it, when you're working doing the sort of work I do, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing that 10 o'clock in the evening or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So if it's 2 o'clock and it's a sunny afternoon and the dog's barking and I want to make a video, I don't have to ask permission to come up here. I just come up here and shoot a video. And that's what the when's my time ethos is all about. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope you can see that it's all about what goes on in the 6 inches between your ears. It's a mindset. Now, we will talk at other stages about how you can engineer that transition from being an employee, being a corporate slave, I've heard it called, but being somewhere you don't want to be during the day and having so little time for yourself. Because I can tell you, I spent too many decades, and I do mean decades, being in the wrong place. And it was only, as I speak now, just over 5 years ago, that I made the break. I planned it for a while before, don't get me wrong. I still was rather hasty in what I did, and I wouldn't urge you to watch this video and then go into the boss tomorrow and sort of say I quit. But you can engineer a position whereby you can quit in the future. And the first step is to identify what that vision is. What is it you want for the future? And don't make it monetary. Some people will advise you putting a figure on it. Don't do that. Think about the lifestyle that you want. Think about what value you want to bring to people. Think about all of those things. And if that's a great start point. What value can you bring? Think about that. And you can bring value. You can bring value. And it was that was the key turning point for me when I realized that it wasn't about how do I earn money. It was, how do I bring value? Once that particular penny dropped, things became a lot clearer for me. I'm not saying they became easier, because it's not easy. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy, but boy, does it become worth it. As usual, I've rambled on. Thanks very much indeed for listening to me. Look, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment below. You can always email me at ozzy@whensmytime.com. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, head over there and do leave me a 5-star review and tell me what you like about the show. Look, leaving me a 5-star review is going to stroke my ego no end, I know, but that's not why I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to do that so that other people who might be similarly helped by this podcast will be able to find it. It helps people find it. The more reviews we get, the better it is for them to find it. Okay, I shall see you soon. Ozzy@whensmytime.com. Cheers then. Bye-bye now.